I'm delighted to welcome so many of you to our first online AGM. The introduction of lockdown just before our 2020 AGM last March led to its postponement. However, the past months have seen us all come to grips with the challenges of conducting meeting, training and much more online, so we thought, why not the AGM? In fact, this new format provides the opportunity for more people to attend without travelling expenses and lavish hotel bills. Sadly, we've had to ask you to bring your own refreshments, but we hope you enjoy listening to the update on our progress of what we have achieved over the past year. Firstly, some housekeeping. We've muted all attendees to ensure you can all hear the speakers' presentations clearly. You should all be able to see and hear us. If you have any technical issues, please let us know in the chat. You can do this by clicking chat at the bottom of your screens and typing in a panel that appears for most people at the side of the screen. Also, if you have any questions during the talks, please put them in the chat and we will break at the end of each section to take them. I would also like to inform you that the AGM will be recorded for minuting later. So, on to the Chairman's report. May I extend the warmest of welcomes. We're delighted to share our news with friends and colleagues from around the globe in this online format. I think we have attendees from Ireland, USA, Switzerland, Uganda and Germany. We welcome you all, and I think even when we can meet together again for the AGM, we'll still find ways of offering remote access so you can all join in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jude Chapman and I've been involved in the charity since 2014. It was a great pleasure that I accepted the role of chair back in March last year as we embarked on what promised to be a transformative year for the charity. Working in partnership with UK Aid, we had secured a small charities challenge fund, which would allow us to extend our services, fund in more equipment, expand our teams and invest in advanced training for one audiologist. However, by the end of the month, UK lockdown came into force, followed by Ugandan lockdown closing our clinics in Kampala a month later. I will let our Operation Advisor Liz update you on the events that unfolded and their impact later. Fundraising has always been a challenge for small charities like our own, and we're very fortunate to have some very generous donations by individuals and organisations over the years. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all and your continued support of the charity. Many of you are in the audience tonight. Your money really does make a big difference to the hearing outcomes of young people in Uganda. I would like to make a special note of two individuals who took on great personal challenges in the past couple of years. At the start of 2019, one intrepid young man decided to embark on a unique personal challenge. He had two objectives: run 1,000 miles over a year, that's an average of 3 miles a day, and raise £1,000 for Let the Children Hear. We followed his progress on social media, and with the support of his family, friends, and in particular his young daughter Luna, he smashed his target by November 2019 and raised a fantastic £1,080. His name is Sam Wilson. Sam, I know it's been over a year since the completion of your challenge, and we plan to thank you in person at last year's AGM. So it's with great pleasure that I'd like to say on behalf of the charity a massive thank you. This brings me to a second young man who in August 2019 embarked on a tremendous personal journey. Leaving Land's End on his bike, he started to cycle to Cape Town in South Africa. Documenting his progress in his daily blog, he told a story of grit, determination and perseverance, but also the wonderful landscapes, places and people he met along the way. He arrived in our clinic last February and spent a few weeks volunteering, experiencing firsthand the work we do and the difference our project makes. Towards the end of February, he recommenced his journey, heading towards Rwanda. This was just as COVID lockdowns were starting. Suddenly, borders were closed. Kevin had to change his plans. He managed to make it to Tanzania, where he was put up in a hotel with other foreign nationals for safety. After flights were delayed and cancelled, he eventually made it back to the UK. Kevin has raised a massive £6,703, but his journey is set to continue when he returns to complete the last leg of his journey once the pandemic is over. Since then, Kevin has become a welcome member of the Children Here board and joins us for our monthly meetings. A special mention needs to be given to Pam Layton, our audiology advisor. Based in the UK, she's been providing an average of 2 days a week online training and continued support. I would also like to extend a grateful thanks to our staff, consultants and volunteers in Kampala, who, despite the challenges of the past year, have worked hard to meet targets and keep the clinics running. It is after 10 p.m. in Uganda, but if any of you have managed to stay up and also have steady internet to attend, you're very welcome. A special mention needs to be given to Pam Layton, our audiology advisor. Based in the UK, she's been providing an average of 2 days a week online training and clinical diagnostic advice to our trainee audiologists and clinical staff. Pam, we really value your expertise and guidance, and we thank you for the great work you're doing. Moving on, we have much to tell you about how the charity has transformed in the past 2 years. So I'd like to hand over to our operations advisor, Liz Chowdhury, to give you a project update.
Thank you, Jude. As Jude said, my name is Liz Chowdhury, for those who don't know me, and I'm one of the trusts on the Let the Children Hear board. I just want to give you a brief update on the project, and we will just start off with a brief video. My name's Liz Chowdhury. I'm also project advisor for the charity. And I just wanted to share with you, first of all, our Ugandan team. Now, this was our team back in 2019, where we had 5 members of staff, a mixture of admin staff, our audiologist, and 2 screeners. They were supported in our clinics by a nurse and also a speech therapist and a German volunteer who's an audiologist with a specialist interest in hearing aid fitting. So she looks after all of our children. And then last year, when we received a UK aid grant, we were able to recruit 4 more members of staff. So now, as you can see, there's quite a big team of us in Uganda. This is our UK team, our board, and 6 of us who are here tonight. And we're also supported by our 2 UK audiology advisors, Pam and Ellen. And they are involved in training and also advising on clinical cases that the audiologist sees in Uganda. So we started our project back in 2014, and just briefly to say that we were basically the only audiology service to start, because there was absolutely nothing in Uganda. There was lack of awareness of the problem, and there was also a lack of awareness of the impact of childhood deafness. This led to poor hearing outcomes for hearing impaired and deaf children. So we work with the local government and the Ministry of Health. So we're very keen to integrate our service into the health facilities within Kampala. So we started off in a small health centre, just providing treatment for ear infections, because we didn't have any other resources to do any formal hearing assessments. So at that stage, we were busy really increasing awareness in the community about the service we were providing and about the problem of childhood hearing loss. In 2015, we expanded to a bigger health centre because we needed more space. And with the room that we were given, we were able to divide it up to provide an ear clinic, an office, and a sound-treated room where we do the hearing assessments. The expansion of our programme and scaling up really began in 2018 when the UK audiology advisors went out to Uganda and they trained some newborn screeners, a school screener, and they trained our audiologist in paediatrics. And then last year, we expanded even more and we took newborn screening into a national referral hospital where we screen babies at risk, babies that spend time in a special care baby unit. And with the UK aid grant, we've obviously started collecting a lot more data, being able to measure our progress and the impact that we're making. And we've also now got a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Health, which is going to help us to further expand in the future and integrate the service. So where do all the beneficiaries come from? So we have our hearing assessment clinic in the health centre, and we get referrals from all different areas, as you can see, that feed into the clinic. A lot of our patients come from other health facilities, and a lot of them just walk in having been told about the service by other mothers or relatives. What do we do? So this is just a snapshot really of everything, all the activities that we do and the services we provide. So we have hearing screening for newborn babies and school children. We do hearing assessments, and we have the full pathway of assessments, and we provide training and health education for healthcare workers. And we also have a hearing aid program whereby we program and fit hearing aids, and we have a rehabilitation program where we're able to offer children speech and language therapy. And for those children that are profoundly deaf, we do some basic sign language classes. If we just take one of our main activities, which requires a lot of resources, is the newborn screening program. So it's not just about screening babies, it's also about health education. So for every baby that's screened, their mother gets health education. And she's told obviously about what the test is about, why we do it, and she's given a leaflet with contact details if she has any problem in the future. And these leaflets are produced not only in English, but in the local language. What impact did COVID have on newborn screening? Well, all our clinics were shut for 2 months last year. But when we reopened, we resumed business as usual with newborn babies coming in their droves. So we've managed really to keep on target with our newborn screening. However, transport costs did double during the period of COVID. So some mothers had difficulty accessing the clinic if they needed to come back for further screening or testing. So we were able to meet the transport costs for some mothers. Also, as we have not been able to go out there when normally we would take some equipment with us, this has added cost obviously to the charity because we've had to send equipment out via DHL, and that's incurred import duties as well. Hearing screening in schools, a very successful program, has been going for 2 years now, whereby we screen primary school children, and along with that, again, there's a lot of health education and materials have been produced to inform the parents and the teachers about the importance of screening and that children need to hear to be able to do well in education. And we've also produced some stickers that we give out to the children. The impact on the school screening programme of COVID has been quite great because the schools have been closed since last April. So what we've had to do is to adapt our school screening programme whereby we screen school-age children in the health centres. Obviously, we haven't been able to meet the numbers that we would normally do when we screen them in schools. So we've had to make some adjustments to that. And we've also managed to screen some children in children's homes. The range of hearing assessments is vast. The hearing assessments, what every child has done depends on their age and their ability. As you can see, the clinic is well resourced. We have quite a lot of machines, but never enough. Hence, there's always a requirement for equipment. Machines break down, they need to be repaired, there's maintenance, there's calibration. So more equipment is needed to ensure that our programs can continue and they don't stop just because a machine is out of action. We've also trained some newborn screeners from another hospital, and we did promise that we would loan them a screening machine so they could start the programme and see how it goes before they actually purchase one themselves. So there is going to be a need for us to purchase some more machines. We have a very robust in-house training programme now, and last year we trained 4 more newborn hearing screeners. There is an urgent need for us to train more audiologists because we only have 1 audiologist working in our clinic currently, but with the increase in the number of new cases that are accessing the clinic, we do have an urgent need to train more audiologists. Last year we had 3 audiologists come into our clinic to get some experience in pediatrics because they're only adult trained, and they have been having some online training also by Pam, our UK audiology advisor, and this is ongoing. The plan for this year is that we will have 4 audiologists that will be able to hopefully go through some kind of formal training. We have funding for 1 candidate to do the certificate in audiology. We also have funding for another candidate to do a diploma in audiology, which should actually have happened last year, but the school has been closed, so we're hoping that that will happen soon. We also have found a good paediatric online South African course, which is only 6 months long, and there is, it's theory, but there is a small practical component. And we are hoping that 2 of the audiologists will be able to go on that course so that we can quickly get somebody trained to be able to also come and work in our clinic in the future. So the COVID impact on the audiology course has been delayed, which obviously has slowed things down for us to get people trained quickly. So as I mentioned, we are considering the South African distance learning course. What are our achievements? Well, if you look back and compare to where we were in 2014 and 2015, when we were not able to do much other than really to treat ear infections, no assessments, no fitting hearing aids. We saw a total of 604 children in 2014 and 1,042 in 2015. Then if you look on the right-hand side to where we are now and the services that we're able to offer, it has increased quite dramatically. We're now looking at numbers around about 5,500, 600 for this particular project year. So where are we going this year? Well, we are lucky to have secured a 2nd year of UK aid funding. We intend to strengthen all of our services that are currently running. And we would love to scale up our screening services because we do feel that there's quite a cohort of children that we don't routinely screen, particularly the age group between 2 to under 5 years. And we are looking at an additional funding stream for this currently. The paediatric audiology training, as I've mentioned, that is ongoing and upscaling, as I said in the previous slide. We will continue to apply for grants, although currently with the COVID crisis, that's a little bit difficult. Similarly, with fundraising activities, we hopefully will be able to get back to some community fundraising this year. Some of our part-time staff are moving to full-time, again, because the need is there, because we are expanding, we need to have some of our staff moving to full-time, particularly some of the clerical staff. And we do have an urgent requirement of about £5,000 for 2 second-hand screening machines so that we can give Zambia Hospital one so that they can start the screening programme, and we need to have one as a backup as well. So thank you for listening. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to take them, or you can put them in the chat box. Thank you.
We have no questions at the moment, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to introduce Jeff, who's going to give you the Treasurer's report.
Okay, hi everybody. It's nice to see everybody here tonight. I'm Jeff Robbins and I'm the charity's financial trustee and treasurer. And I'm presenting the Treasury report for the period January 2020 through to December 2020. This report is based on our draft internal management accounts. We just finished the financial year, so these will need to be audited, and we'll be submitting these to the Charities Commission by the end of October 2021. So you've got the chart in front of you, and on the left-hand side is our total annual income for the year. On the right, the total annual expenditure in the same period. We started the year with a total of £29,895 in the bank. And at the end of the year, we had £32,647, which reflects in the figures you see in front of you that we had a bit more income than we actually spent. Turning to the income, the primary source of the income in the period was the blue figure at the bottom, the £44,550, which is the funding that we received from the UKA grant. And this is the bulk of the funding we had in the year, and enabled the charity to expand its operation hugely down in Africa. The balance above the £9,028 is the fundraising that we had from Just Giving, and this includes the residual money from Kevin's bike ride, most of which came in the previous financial year, and Sam and his running initiative. This is actually down £764 on the previous year because of COVID affecting the finances generally of the money we're managing to raise. The figure above that of £5,229 is donations that we received during the year, and the bulk of the donations came from one donation of £5,000, which special thanks must go to Elspeth's friend Ross Thomas, who kindly arranged for this individual donation. And the actual donations are a huge increase on what we received in the previous year. At the very top of the sheet is the general fundraising, and this is £1,762, which is a huge reduction of £3,350 in the previous year. Again, because we had COVID wrecking out big fundraising events, such as the annual golf day and the evening meals and the Bollywood evenings and such we had planned. So that really did hit us hard on our funding. Moving to the right-hand side of the screen, you thought it's disappeared screen. On the right-hand side, you can see the first figure is £39,000. This is the money that was actually sent to Uganda for the day-to-day operation of the charity. It represents about 67% of the total expenditure of the charity. The actual money going out to Uganda, £39,000, is less than the money coming in from UKA to £44,500. And the reason for this was we effectively lost a quarter in the year of performance due to the COVID issues shutting Uganda down for 2.5 months. And UKA very kindly allowed us to extend our financial year with them by an extra quarter. So we now go to the end of March 2021, which marries up with the UKA's financial year. And the rest of the residual balance of the money from UKA will be spent in the next 3 months, and it should all balance out over the year. The figures above, in orange, the £10,169, represents the purchasing and maintaining of specific hearing testing and hearing aids and such like for equipment in the clinics in Uganda. So this is money that's been spent in Uganda on top of the £39,000. Above that is in the greys, £4,895, which is 8% of total expenditure. And this is the cost of sending medical trustees and personnel to Uganda to drive the program forward and mentor the staff in the field over there. We only had one visit in the period because COVID shut us down pretty much, but we're now finding that due to Zoom and Teams meetings, we're actually getting an awful lot done from remote distancing. So it's something we're going to consider doing in the future. The very top line of 3,754 is the UK expenditure based on what we have to spend in the UK, and that's professional indemnity insurances, websites, internet marketing, and entry fees for competitions such as the London Marathon, which we're entered into next year. It's going to be one of our big fundraising events, and we have to spend £450 just to enter that competition. And we got charged VAT on top of that as well, which is very kind of them. So moving on into 2021, we've already secured funding from UKAID of £50,000, to which we need to add our own supporting match funding of £22,000. So the charity is going to look to spend £72,000 in Uganda in the next year. This means that we need to raise our own funding of at least £24,000 to break even for the year. So Elspeth will be coming to you shortly, just showing you how we intend to do our fundraising efforts for next year. And in addition to that, she'll be explaining about 2 specific fundraising initiatives which we'll be looking to do in the new financial year as well. So thank you very much for listening, and this concludes the financial report. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be quite happy to take them.
So we have some questions, I think, carried over from Liz's presentation. So Andrew asked, is the second UK grant guaranteed? But Andrew, I assume you meant confirmed, in which case I think that's yes, right,
Yes.
Jeff? Yeah.
Yes, it is pretty much confirmed. Yes, we're waiting for the cohort. The grant is issued in cohorts. So we're going for the initial, we've had the grant approved and we're going for the initial setting up of the grant, and that should be kicking in for the new financial year, because we've now moved our financial year back so it aligns with the UK AIDS financial year. So the grant will be kicking in from April of this year, from 2021.
And Will Eiserman has said that he may have some equipment that could help us out. An OAE, I'm not familiar with what that is, but
Okay, that's a screening machine, so that would be excellent.
Okay. Yes, thank
Will.
you.
okay, and that's all the Emma also said spectacular achievements, well done. So thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay, my responsibility is just to elect chairman and treasurer. So it is customary to propose the name of our chairman for 2021 and a treasurer. So I'd like to propose the name of Jude Chapman as the chairman of Let the Children Hear organization for 2021.
Okay, and I'd like to second Jude for the position.
Okay, and the second person, the treasurer, which is a very important position because he controls all the money. I'd like to propose the name of Jeff Robbins as the treasurer for Let the Children Hear for 2021.
I'm happy to say so.
Yeah, thank you. So I now need to hand over to Elspeth, who is going to talk to us about how we raise the fund. So Elspeth, all yours.
Okay, right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Elspeth Russell, and I'm a trustee for Let the Children Hear and have been working with them for about 8 years. My role is community fundraiser, and I am also the lead person for infection control in Uganda. The COVID impact has had quite an impact on us for fundraising, obviously. So the forthcoming events that we are hopefully going to do this, COVID providing, is going to be still our annual golf day, which obviously will be maybe at the end of the year, our annual Aquaman, which we do. We also are doing this year an eBay sales shop, which shouldn't be affected by COVID, and we will be selling bras and shoes and possibly other items. So if you could look out for that on the internet, that will be you know, hopefully a good little fundraiser. We have got some larger events, and one of the things that we would like to do as well, maybe at the end of the year, is a Bollywood evening, which will be a very large Indian style, where we have curries, entertainment, so hopefully that will happen. That is the London Marathon, and Nathan has really kindly said he's going to run this for us. This should happen in October, again, hopefully COVID, and hopefully in October this is going to happen. We may have some pre-marathon events for fundraising. We have got a very exciting new fundraiser, which again we will be doing on the internet, and it's an art sale. So we will be calling all artists, and these paintings can be done either by paint, pen, charcoal, pastel, and these will then be actually sold for about £20 each. We have seen other charities have done this, and they've been very, very successful. So we're hoping this will really take off, and we hope to do this either in May or June. Again, we have specific fundraising. We've got the 2 screening machines, so we've got to try and think of something to get £5,000 for our screening machines, our second-hand ones. We also need 2 audiologists to be trained, and we need to get money for these, and that's going to be 3,500. So we're going to try and think of some events that we can actually do specifically for these 2 items. So we want to get that done. Anyway, I'd like to take the opportunity now of thanking everybody, friends and colleagues and that, who have really supported us with fundraising and financial support throughout the last year. So thank you all very much for coming this evening and for supporting us. Okay, Kevin.
Thank you. So we've got 2 more questions. Will Eiserman again is asking if we have anything new to report about that memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Health in Uganda.
Yes, we do. We do, Will. We have an update to say that it's now been signed off.
And he goes on to ask, have they committed any funding support for the future?
Not yet. I think that's probably a little bit premature. We need to go back to them now and start talking to them about at least giving us some dedicated staff and take it from there. Because we've only signed it in the past couple of weeks. So, but it will happen. But I think we have to take one step at a time.
Okay. And Mayor says great achievements and asks what's the financial plan to cater for the expansion post the UK aid grant, in particular running costs?
Well, we've got the UK aid grant for 2021 to 2022, and we're looking at getting other grants from other providers as well in the future to help support the charity as it continues to expand and grow. Hopefully we should get some funding as well from the Ugandan government and the health authorities over there. The idea is that eventually the Ugandans will take over the charity eventually. But in the foreseeable future, for the next few years, we will be relying on substantial grant funding to actually drive the charity forward with the expansion and to keep it running as well, in conjunction with UK fundraising.
Okay, thanks. So, any more questions from anyone, either in chat or in person?
Yeah. Can I just mention that we are in discussion with, or beginning to discuss with other organizations, and Emma Stablestone is there, and she has organizations, they work in Uganda as well. So I'm hoping to have a discussion with Emma some stage to see whether we could cooperate and work together. The Gemma, another lady, Gemma, who works for deaf kids in the UK, and we're talking to her as well to see whether we can all get together and work as a one team. So I will continue to discuss with them and see whether we can work as a team in those countries, and it would be great help.
Okay. We've had another question in from Andrew Billington, who's asked, are you approaching grant-making trusts?
Yes, we will be.
Okay.
The answer.
This is Carl White. May I say something briefly?
Yes, you may.
Before you close. So some of you are probably wondering who I am and who William Eiserman is and what we're doing on this Zoom meeting. It wasn't just that we ran out of things to do and looked randomly for a Zoom meeting that we could join. So we work with a small nonprofit organization in the United States called the Global Partnerships for Hearing Health. And we've been having conversations with Liz and Paul for the last year. The goal of our organization is to improve hearing health, primarily with children in the developing countries of the world. And we have been in contact with a group that works with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints called LDS Charities. And they are quite interested in making a significant donation to your program. I think if COVID hadn't have happened, it would have been finalized by now. But COVID has been very disruptive. And so they're kind of in a holding pattern right now. But we're looking at a contribution of about $50,000. And that would go towards expanding your newborn hearing screening and your school age screening and some of the other activities that you're doing. So Paul and Liz graciously invited us to come to listen in on your meeting tonight. And I continue to be impressed with what you're accomplishing there. And we hope that we'll be able to get over this COVID hump in the near future and be able to put back into motion the things that we were talking about earlier. I know that Paul and Liz are getting a little bit tired of hearing us say just a little while longer until they make up their minds. But I am still very optimistic that LDS Charities will contribute the money that they've talked about. If they don't, we have some other sources of funding, probably not for as much, but probably for $20,000 to $25,000. That may be a possibility. And so I'm hopeful that as COVID loosens its grip, that we'll be able to make that a reality, and we'll be continued in conversation with Paul and Liz over if we're not able to do the whole 50,000 now, if we can adjust the work scope for 25,000. So we'll be in continued conversation and appreciate the chance of being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. We got a few more minutes. So
We have some other questions actually, don't we, Kevin?
We do, yeah. Will Eisenman has asked a follow-up question on the models, but suggests that we can do that offline. So I'll send that offline. Dr. Musharraf Hussain says thank you for the invite and hopes to help the charity in the future. Andrew is asking, when will an annual report be available? I think that's one for Jeff.
Yeah, usually the annual report, we have to do the annual report by the end of October. So the full annual report, we'll look to try and get it done around about June time, June, July time. We have the draft management accounts, but we need to do the auditing on the management accounts, and they should be available about March time. There's just a question of getting through all the paperwork and putting everything together in conjunction with all the work we're doing on the UK aid funding and reporting as well. So we need to do the UK aid reports, and off the back of the UK aid reports and the final audit for the end of their financial year, which is the end of March, we can then do our annual report. So the UK aid reports will be done in about April, May time, and that will be audited and signed off, and then that gives us the opportunity to get our annual report done for June, July. So okay. I hope that answers the question there.
I think so. Paul Denton has asked if we can give an update on the ambulance, which is that, I guess, the school ambulance?
Yes.
Yes. Well, Paul Denton, member of the local Rotary Club, they have financed the ambulance some years ago, and we converted into a sound-treated room. So we take that ambulance to schools, and we do the hearing test inside the ambulance. So it is going strong, but it is almost 5 years old. So it will probably soon, there will be a problem, and we need to replace it. But we're not sure whether we should continue to do the same way, the screening or not. But it is working well. We spent quite a lot of money to repair it, and it is being looked after very well, and is kept inside the health center. And there's a police or military today, which will be probably Army Guard there outside. So it is well looked after by us.
Thank you. Mayo has asked how reliable are second-hand screening machines?
I think with that one, we are looking at purchasing second-hand screening machines from the Path Medical, which are a German company, which we get a lot of our equipment from. So I think they should be pretty reliable. Is that not correct, Paul?
Yes. We work with a German company called Path Medical, and we are quite familiar with most of their directors and workforce. And one of their directors sent their daughter to as a volunteer to Kampala. So she has come and seen what we do and got direct contact. So they have got some demonstration equipment, which are normally about £7,000 to £8,000 worth. But they will probably be able to give us about 2,500 each. And they will repair it, and they will calibrate it every year. And if there is a problem, I can get it repaired. So we won't be able to buy two brand new ones because it will be very expensive. and we need 1 or 2 function only. So I think it will be reliable as much as possible. But I think I'm looking at Utah University, America, and Will there, and he has some equipment, hopefully, and he can give me some equipment as well. So the new equipment is very expensive. So this is for the screening. So I think with the screening, second-hand machine will be enough. And Mayur, do you want to say a little bit about your organization, what you do, just briefly?
If that's okay, I don't want to be imposing on
just
your...
brief what you do and why you're here today.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me, and it really is amazing what you're doing. My name is Mayur Patel. I'm founding trustee of Polio Children, Okas Fund, and various other charities which operate around the world. And one of our projects, key projects, is Shravana, which is to do with hearing, giving children the joy of hearing and speech. So similar to what you're doing, except ours is all under one roof, from the time the baby comes in, diagnosis, treatment, hearing aid, speech therapy, language therapy, preschool, post-school, integration, parental training, everything under one roof. And that happens in Hyderabad. We also we started helping another project in Cambodia, and that's to do with hearing for children in Cambodia. And that project is again similar sort of thing to what you're doing. So Paul was introduced to me by my partner in Shravana, Dr. Puthula, and Nick, who's part of the ENT UK team. So we've chatted about, we've looked at the scholarship for your 2 audiologists, and I think it's I'm very confident we will help you with that. And I'm dealing at the moment directly with Paul and Liz, but it has to go through some of the hoops of my board. But I can tell you that we will make that happen. I'm also interested in finding out more about these machines that you want. So perhaps Paul, if you can take the initiative to update on that.
Yes, no problem. Thank you very much.
So that the rest of your team understands, the angle I'm coming from is whilst we run projects, we also fund, we provide grants for projects like yours in many countries. And obviously, if it fits the mandate well, I was born in Uganda. I speak Swahili as my first language, and we have several projects in Uganda. And you just couldn't have timed it better in terms of having a project in Uganda, in a city where I was born. But the board is also very sympathetic towards anything to do with children, disability, rehabilitation from disability, and education. So
thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah.
sure we will have a long working relationship.
There's another person that we haven't really spoken to, Emma Stapleton. She worked in Kampala as well, our organization. And Emma approached, I approached Emma through Nick to see whether there is any possibility of working together. So Emma, could you say a little bit about your organization, please?
Yeah, of course. First, Liz, can I say, I was just blown away by your presentation. What you've achieved is fantastic. Well done. So I was also put in touch with Paul by ENT UK. I'm a consultant ENT surgeon in Manchester, and I do purely ear surgery. But I have another connection, which is that last year I was made the trustee of a charity called Helping Uganda Schools, which runs a number of schools in Uganda. And the reason I got involved was a charity bicycle ride where we raised £46,000 to build a school in Ginger for children with a hearing loss. So because of my background as an ENT surgeon, I thought I would really like to be able to put the education and hearing loss thing together, which is why I was put in touch with Paul, who's already doing what I would like to do. My main experience in global health has actually been working for the Brinos charity in Nepal, which some of you have probably heard of. And I was just chuckling earlier because Brinos has actually got to a stage where the Nepali team have taken over the hospital. So while it's sad that we won't be making any more British visits to operate there in the near future, I think that is the goal of a sustainable charity. So that's a happy ending for that one. So I was just hoping really to sort of make a connection with Paul to find out what you guys do, and ultimately to hopefully hook up with the Helping Uganda Schools charity and find some way to just continue more of the great work that you do.
Okay, I'm just looking down to see there's one other question, Jeff, about the 2019 report.
In 2019, because our turnover was so low, we didn't have to put a formal annual report into the Charities Commission. So we did a report internally, but we didn't actually file it with the Charities Commission because there was no requirement, because we only turned over £15,000 in 2019. And now we're turning over £60,000 in 2020. So it shows you how the charity's grown in a year. So there is a report of sorts of 2019, but it wasn't the formal one submitted with the Charities Commission.
Okay, does anybody else want to say anything? Have any other questions? Well, that concludes the Let the Children Hear AGM. It's just for me to thank my fellow board members for helping with tonight's presentation. Not always the slickest, I hope you've all enjoyed it. If you have any more questions or want to speak to any of the trustees, you can do so via email. Please contact Paul and he will send your details on. Thank you for attending this evening, and I'm wishing you the best of health and keep safe. Thank you.